Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to the Mindfulness Daily Practice. Hello. Hi, Cece. Hi, Jean. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Sue. Good evening, Kathy. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Judy. Yeah, good to be back. It's been, a fun, interesting session in Hong Kong. Let's see. Hi, Chris. Hi, Jody. Hi, Sybil. Hi, Kate. So yeah, I'm just coming back from Hong Kong. So I was taking a few days off of this daily practice to teach some mindfulness to the Hong Kong police, which was really interesting. And I think as it goes, as I'm looking at through feedback, it is not all positive feedback, and I'm not surprised because of it, because I think most of the time when I run a corporate mindfulness course, the participants are all voluntarily participating in the course. It's not part of a mandatory training course. So in this case, it's something that everybody had to do, and there's some potentially resistance to it, right? I mean, it's not something that I think if you're not expecting to do it, it can be really strange. I mean, the first time that you close your eyes, or maybe you don't close your eyes, and you look around the room and you see everybody closing their eyes, focusing on their breath. You go, what is this? What am I getting into? So it's an interesting experience. I'm happy that I did it, and hopefully there will be more opportunities to work with them in the future. So I'm just looking forward to chatting with them, the organizers, and see how things went. And yeah, something that I had kind of forgotten about, and I just kind of chat about it briefly today, is the bell. Right? I mean, I did bring the bell with, but one thing about this bell is it's clearly a Tibetan style singing bowl, and there's a lot of Mahayana Buddhism in Hong Kong, and it just hadn't occurred to me that this bell and I mean, certain other mindfulness programs won't use the bell because of any possible resistance that people might feel towards the bell, and that's something that I really think I felt this time, was that hey, this bell reminds me of Mahayana Buddhism, or this temple that my mother goes to, or etc., etc. And so it reminds me to be really careful about how I teach and what associations come up with, because it's quite important, I think, to make sure that these kind of associations are left out, because then we miss out. There's that possibility that we miss out on the real benefits of this practice. And so this is a bit of a segue into today's topic, which is mindfulness and neuroscience. Because the Search Inside Yourself program, which is what I was teaching at the Hong Kong Police, there is a neuroscience component. It combines neuroscience with mindfulness with emotional intelligence. So these three things kind of work together to be the Search Inside Yourself program. Search Inside Yourself is the emotional and the mindfulness-based emotional intelligence program for leaders that was developed and tested at Google. So it's kind of like the internal mindfulness program of Google. And as you would probably expect, there's a lot of evidence behind it. So a lot of it's related to neuroscience, how mindfulness affects the brain. I think that is what's interesting, is the studies that have been done in the last 20 years. So when we start to look at what has been what has been done as we've explored mindfulness, we see that it does have some physical, tangible effect on the brain and how the brain works. The main method of study, as we talk through neuroscience, is fMRI. fMRI stands for Functional Magnetic Resonance Imaging. And so it's something that you can see real time what's happening inside the brain. So you can see what areas of the brain are active when we're asking a subject to do something, to pay attention to something, to think something, to watch something. As the subject does all of this, we'll see what happens in the brain. And maybe the first thing to talk about is, well, what happens when we first put someone inside of the fMRI? And so while we're waiting around, we're waiting for the test to start, we say to the participant, okay, just relax, don't worry, the test is going to start soon. And what happens during that time? So any thought, any idea, what happens during this time when the participant is just sitting around waiting inside the fMRI? Mind wandering, of course. There's mind is wandering around, they're daydreaming, they're thinking about whatever. The default mode network of the brain is active. And so this is what the scientists who are looking at this study are perceiving. So seeing these various areas of the brain, I won't talk about I guess it doesn't really matter for the application of us talking what exactly those areas of the brain are. But when we're engaging in self-referential thinking, we're thinking about ourselves, we're daydreaming, this area is the area of the brain that's active. And what's interesting about the default mode network is it kind of is the overarching network that most everything goes through. So if this area of the brain has to talk to this area of the brain, it goes through the default mode network. It's a very gross oversimplification. The default mode network kind of oversees the brain, and it is kind of where our sense of self develops. And so everything is running through this. As we meditate more, while we're in meditation, focusing on sensations of the body, this area of the brain is not so active. And this is interesting because this part of the brain, or these parts of the brain, are very active when in people who suffer from depression and anxiety. So there's some correlation between, and this is why there's evidence with observing the neuroscience, evidence that mindfulness helps these conditions such as depression and anxiety, because it does kind of tone down that habitual self-referential thinking that you may not even know is happening. So the brain changes over time, something that I suppose in the past we weren't as aware of, that new neurons can grow. The way that neurons interact with each other causes the physical shape of the neurons themselves to change. So as we continue, as we meditate, and as we live life in general, the way that we live our lives causes our brain to change over time. And so the question is, do you want to have some control over how your brain is changing? And so mindfulness is one way, and maybe mindfulness isn't the way you want your brain to change. But what has been shown through experimentation is that mindfulness has helped, it is memory, attention, memory. I remember these things, but I'm going to double check to make sure I've got them. Attention, memory, executive function, and cognitive flexibility. So all of these things are affected positively by mindfulness. Memory, attention, executive function. Executive function is the working of the prefrontal cortex. So the kind of cognitive awareness and cognitive flexibility as well. So you start to become aware of and have more control over, this executive center of the brain as you feel various things happening as you become aware of your emotional state. Your emotional state can become more aroused, more out of control, and it can also become more in control, more relaxed as you become aware of it. And and then these have evolutionary function, right? What's the purpose of getting panicked and out of control? Well, maybe it's part of it is this, sending resources to the extremities of the body so that we're ready to fight, we're ready to run, we're ready to do what we need to do to survive. And so these days, this maybe isn't as applicable as it was in the past. So this is the topic we'll go through this week. So kind of dovetailing off of my Search Inside Yourself program with the police. I just want to share some of the benefits, what we see through neuroscience that's happening. So that's what this week's series is dedicated to. Last week was about application, and we only spent a few days in that, and I think I've kind of missed out, so I'm going to spend a little bit more time coming up on application as well. So welcome, everybody. Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and get into our practice today. So hi, everybody. Our practice today will be a sitting meditation. So go ahead and get yourself comfortable. So sit comfortably, however that looks for you. I would encourage you to bring your back away from the backrest. The idea of our sitting posture is, can we be fully awake, fully alert? And that's one of the reasons we bring our back away from the backrest, to sit up straight and tall by our own effort, maybe with the unintended consequence of improving our posture. But sitting in a way that we can be relaxed as well. So seeing if the shoulders can be down, away from the ears, chest open. Face can be relaxed. There's no one for you to be using your face to communicate with right now. And seeing if you can make this time today just for you. Time for you to be by yourself, to be with yourself. And so allowing your attention to rest on something that's happening in the present. One thing that you can notice is your breath. How is the body affected by your breathing? So every time you breathe, something is changing. The chemistry of the body itself is changing. As you breathe in, your body absorbs life-giving oxygen from the environment around you. As you breathe out, waste products of metabolism, carbon dioxide, leave your body and enter the atmosphere around you. This most basic exchange this interconnectivity that we see between ourselves and the environment. At what point does the atmosphere around you become a part of you? And at what point does the air inside of you become the atmosphere outside of you? So observing these physical sensations, this evidence, the expansion and contraction of the belly, expansion and contraction of the chest, movement of air through the nostrils, perhaps even a sense of the entire body breathing. So not pondering or wondering, not thinking about anything, simply observing these signs, this physical signature of your breath. And while we're meditating, maybe 100 times, maybe 1,000 times, our mind wanders away. Start thinking about all kinds of things. Usually with that common theme of self. How does this relate to me? How does this event coming up relate to me? Maybe rehearsing what's coming next. Maybe you find yourself reflecting on the past, some event that's happened to you. Anytime you notice this mind moving away from observing the present, can you gently let go of that thought? Come back. Observe not the idea of breathing, but these actual physical sensations. Can you feel your belly expanding and contracting? Every time you notice your mind wandering, gently letting go and coming back. Okay, the time has come for us to begin drawing our practice to its close. So maybe take a moment to congratulate yourself for having made it through today's practice. And after the sound of the bell disappears from your awareness, feel free to start to move your body. Maybe starting out by wiggling your fingers and toes and stretching out in any way you like. So ring the bell 3 times. All right. Thanks everybody for practicing with me. Congratulations on making it through today's practice. I didn't really warn you, but I threw some additional silence in there. What's the reason behind that? Well, to begin to give you a little bit more space today to notice your own mind wandering. There's really a lot of power in that. I think that if I'm constantly guiding you back and reminding you that your mind might be wandering, it does rob you of the opportunity to notice it for yourself. So, as we talk about neuroscience, that's one of the real big benefits of mindfulness, is to start to notice that moment that your attention begins to pull away from the thing that you intend your attention to be at. And so mindfulness is just something, a very simple way to notice where the attention is. And when we're going throughout our day, we have a lot of complicated things that are going on. It may not be so obvious that your mind has wandered. It may look like a natural flow of thinking, whereas in reality, you were trying, way back here to try to get something accomplished, or we end up getting distracted. Go online and you find that you're going to all the websites that you hadn't originally intended to go to, and possibly even justifying it. And I think that happens in meditation as well. We start to justify, this is why I allowed myself to think about that thought for so long. Here's why. Here's the train. I needed to see where that was going. Just to let you know, as we meditate, don't worry about it. Don't worry about where it's going. I know it can be really tempting to follow the thought train. As best you can, every time you notice that your mind has wandered, come back. This is really the intent of the practice, especially when it's tempting. You think you're going somewhere, when you've got this seemingly brilliant idea, you want to stop your meditation, you want to get up, you want to write it down. This is the time to bring the mind back. Trust me. I've been doing this practice for years. This is the way to get the most benefit out of it. Okay, I'm going to have a look at the chat here. All right. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Dirk. Thanks, Nicola. Thank you, Dee. Thanks, Suzanne. Rachel shares, I heard another Insight Timer teacher mention counting backwards from 5 to 1, so that's what I did. Anytime I stopped and the monkey mind engaged, I kept coming back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, visualizing it in my mind's eye, and it helped. Wow, thanks for sharing, Rachel. So, this can, of course, help to have some way to refocus when we wander away. Yeah, my pleasure to do more silent practice, but, it is a guided meditation, so I don't want to do that all the time. But yeah, just so that you do notice, it gives you that space to notice that moment when your attention wandered. And we'll talk about these things as this week goes on, as we explore more about like neuroplasticity and where does attention come from, what is meta attention, what are some of the benefits that we can expect to see from regular mindfulness practice. Sybil shares lots of mind wandering today and unhooking from thoughts, interesting the number today. Nothing important, just popped up. Started counting breath to focus. Happy with it. Thanks, Sybil, for sharing. To see where it is going, says Suzanne. Yes, I had to tell myself to let it go a few times today. Yeah, it's really interesting, right? Is that we really, really feel, well, this is that addiction to thinking that all of us have. So just can't, oh man, where's it going? Where's my mind going? So keep it up. Keep up trying to stay focused on the present. As tempting as it may be, I guarantee you, if your thought is important enough, you won't forget it when the meditation ends. So no need to get up, no need to stop, no need to follow it, no need to write it down. Just come back to the breath. Thank you, Scotty. Jean says, here, now, my monkey mind went everywhere between here and now. Thank you, Cece. Thank you, Kathy, for your donation. Yeah, once in a blue moon, my mind feels less distracted, relaxing the brain. Felt a taste of it today. Thanks, Cece, for sharing. And I also, once in a blue moon, will get that area where I become aware of my thoughts before they fully form. Well, that's pretty amazing. Those times when I can see my thought coming up, and even before the mind wanders, to start to bring the attention back. So, takes time, takes a lot of practice, and takes, that inclination, I think, of the mind to stay present. So if you've been spending so much time thinking about the past and the future, thinking about all kinds of stuff, being on your phone, watching TV, engaging with things that have a lot of language, this thing, all of the thoughts tend to be, in that kind of language format. It's like it's like an internal monologue, right? I can hear my own voice inside my head. All right. Thanks, Scotty, for your donation. And thanks, everybody, for being here today. We're going to continue this series. So tomorrow's topic is, my favorite foundation of neuroscience and mindfulness, neuroplasticity. So what we think, what we do, what we pay attention to, all changes the physical structure of the brain, whether you want to or not. Your brain is constantly changing. And the question is, do you want that to be happening unconsciously, or do you want to have some conscious control over how your brain is changing as time goes on? Be well, everybody. Let's send our well wishes out to ourselves and to each other before we close today. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Rob. And thank you, everybody who's on here today. Whether you're active in the chat or not, you are appreciated, and you are certainly most welcome to continue practicing as much as possible to start to see these benefits as our brains change as we practice mindfulness. So let's wish ourselves well. May I be happy and peaceful. May everybody here today, all people watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. And may all sentient life across the universe, may they all be happy and peaceful. All right. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, CC, for your donation. Thanks, everybody, once again for being here, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.